Basically, I have triggers. And I don't know where this started or when it started, but it's not a good blend because I experience this even in cases where I have to say goodbye to a place, an object, an inanimate, abstract concept. If I get my heart broken parting ways with things that aren't even something I can interact with, it only makes sense that when I had to say a goodbye, and more painfully, an abrupt goodbye towards someone who mattered so much to me, even though with the short amount of time we spent together, that goodbye is perhaps one of the most painful things I had to go through in my life thus far. And I'm not blaming her, just to make it clear. Future homers, I know you know that. It's not anybody's fault. There's no one to blame. But how does this relate to Christmas? Around this time last year, Christmas felt magical. I mean, how else would I describe it? The weeks leading up to that Christmas were the most exciting it has ever been my entire life. I describe those weeks as being far more eventful than months of pandemic combined. It was basically the peak of the seeds I planted the pandemic prior. That season was essentially the definition of unforgettable, even if you take my reflective nature aside. This year, on the other hand, you can really feel the contrast. It's quieter. My life is not as colorful. My star this Christmas isn't really there anymore. And I don't want to mope in this video, but I just want you guys to understand, future homers, how cold and sad, the sadness and the cold winter air is creeping in. That's just how my mind works. I stay even though everybody else has left. I look back even though there's no clear and apparent reason to do so, and I can already hear some of you guys saying that, Homer, just stop it. Just focus on the present. Just ground yourself to what is and be glad of what has and what has passed. Just build something new and start over. But as I have mentioned, December last year was the pinnacle of my hard work from pandemic. I would have ended things in pandemic, but I promised that Homer by the ledge, that I would make things better for him, for us. And that December, with my friends, with that stupid festival dance, with Biel, was the best of that better. That was it. I lived for that moment, for those moments, for that Christmas. And fast forward a year later, and I find myself in the same place the Christmas prior to the Christmas last year. Basically, Christmas last year. So, it's not attachment to a specific person or a specific set of events, but rather it's a representative of something far more important to me. My values, my principles, my hard work, the fucking reason why I'm still alive. It's that to me. And my, unfortunately now ex-girlfriend, is like a symbol of all that. It's a metaphor. It's the meaning I attach to her and what she represents to me. And her being very important to me, yes, it's a huge aspect of it, but it's not the entire picture. I invested my entire heart, my time, my entire being into all that. Not to the person and to the relationship, but to the build-up, to everything that's found in 2023 and 2024. I worked my ass off for all that, and I get to enjoy and savor it for 6 months, and in a snap of a finger, it's all gone. Just like that. And that gets to me. That's my crisis. The fleetingness of how everything you've worked hard for so long can just be washed away and you being helpless about it. I can't reiterate it enough. It's not just a heartbreak. It's existential. It shakes the foundation of how I see myself and how I see the world and how I deal with this time and change thing that is apparently the only constant thing that happens in this reality. It's like a betrayal of myself. Whenever someone tells me to let go or just move on, it's not that I'm holding on to the person and the moments I shared with her. Yes, again, that's a huge part of it, but that's what the average person makes a mistake in. But to me, again, it's my values, it's my principles, it's my nature. I cling on to it because I love doing it, and it just happens to be that this is the peak expression or exhibition of that aspect or mental wiring of mine. It crushes me, like thinking about faded photographs, people dying, goodbyes. Even if bittersweet, the bitter outweighs the sweet for me every time. It doesn't even have to be a person. It doesn't matter how long it was that I spent my time there or with. Goodbyes is so difficult for me. I don't get why. And that has been the main conflict within me these recent months, which were only amplified and magnified by parting ways with my now unfortunately ex-girlfriend. Basically, this Christmas, I can feel the contrast with the save and load points. How happy I was last year, I can load that. But that will only last like, what, 10 to 20 seconds, and then I'm back again. I'm back. Where am I now? Like, that's the question that I go back to. Where am I again? Oh, right. Yes. I've savored those days for 6 months, 7 months, and now, tada, Homer, we're back to baseline, hedonic treadmill. The reason why the Christmas aspect of it makes it far heavier is, aside from the coldness of the air, is in fact the natural nostalgia that holidays bring. And it just happens to be that the best nostalgia that I can relate myself to was last year's. And back then, whenever I loaded during Christmas season, I loaded my childhood days when we were celebrating Christmas. But now, it's different. And that's how it's supposed to be. We grow up and all that. But that doesn't mean it's alright. It doesn't make it any less painful. Doesn't mean something is widely accepted as part of reality. Doesn't mean we shouldn't try our best to question it, and if we can't do anything about it, at least grieve it. And each and every one of us grieves in different depths, durations, and ways. And this is how I do it. This is how Homers do it. And I'm learning to accept that. That this would be a recurring cycle that will take place in not only my life but everybody else's life. We will lose people. We will miss Christmases. And holidays will be different. And for some it will incrementally become colder and colder, and we can't really do anything about it because this is how we pay the price of human existence. When you get something, you're just bound to lose it. It's just... But surely everybody has to deal with this grueling fact of fleetingness of life. Whether it be me, the most optimistic people I know, my inspirational idols, my close friends, my parents, her. Everybody is hurt. And I guess that's just something that I would like to talk about more in a future video.